In this video, we will show the steps required to operate the network license for the Sizer Electric software. It is important to understand that the software is available in two editions, the Professional Edition, also referred to as Standalone or Single User, and the Premium Edition, also referred to as the Network Edition. Each edition operates using a different USB hardware key, which grants access to the software either for a single user or for multiple concurrent users. The USB key for the Professional or Standalone Edition is purple, while the USB key for the Premium or Network Edition is red. For proper operation of the software in a network environment, it is recommended to install the software Sizer Electric on the server to ensure that the required drivers for reading the USB hardware key are installed correctly. Since the software does not run on the server, it does not consume server resources. The server is used solely to centralize hardware key validation requests from client computers and manage available software access. To operate the network key, it must be connected to a USB port on a physical server. The server may be dedicated or non-dedicated, or it may be any desktop or laptop computer acting as a server. This means the USB key must remain connected to that machine so that the client computers can validate their access. It is important to note that the server must be a physical machine, as the network security scheme does not support virtual servers. The server should also have port 1947 enabled, accessible, and operational for proper key functionality. It is recommended that all computers be connected to the same network segment, or at minimum, that client computers are able to communicate with the server. This requires the appropriate network permissions and privileges. To validate that license access is possible on the server, verify that the license is operational and functional by running the Sizer Electric program directly on the server. Another method to verify that the licenses are operating on the server is to open a web browser on the server and access the address http://localhost:1947 to enter the Sentinel Admin Control Center. By clicking the Sentinel Keys tab in the menu on the left side of the window, all licenses currently running on the server will be displayed, along with additional information about the status of those licenses. Keys with vendor ID 68199 correspond to Sizer Electric product licenses. If you do not see a license with this vendor ID, it means that no Sizer Electric license is being read or executed on that machine. Verify that the physical USB key is inserted into the server's USB port, and that it is accessible with port 1947 open. In the list, you can verify the license type for vendor 68199, which corresponds to Sizer Electric. Network licenses will appear with a red USB key icon, corresponding to the physical key where the license is configured. If a USB key icon appears but it is not red, it is possible that you do not have the correct type of key for network licenses, and you should contact Sizer Electric technical support. Logical demo licenses will appear indicated with a certificate icon in the configuration column. By clicking the Features button next to the Sizer Electric license, you can check whether the license is valid. If the key license has expired, please contact sales or technical support for more information. If everything appears correct on the Sentinel Keys page, but it is not possible to access the key options, the most likely issue will be the port configuration. Make sure that the server is configured to allow communication through port 1947 using the TCP/IP protocol, as mentioned above. To verify communication between the server and the client computers, you must first determine the server's IP address. Then, confirm that the client computers can establish functional communication with that IP address. To obtain the server's IP address, open the command prompt on the server, or on the computer that will act as the server, using the Windows taskbar. From the Windows menu, this application is also identified as command prompt. Type command, select command prompt, and then enter the command IP protocol configuration. This command displays system information. Locate the IPv4 address, which consists of 4 numbers separated by periods. This is the server's IP address. Write it down, as it will be used later. Next, to validate communication between the client computers and the server, go to a client computer and open the command prompt. Enter the instruction, ping, followed by the server's IP address. If communication is successful, the system will report that the number of packets sent is equal to the number of packets received, and the number of lost packets will be 0. If communication is not successful, the system will display a message indicating that communication was not possible or that the request timed out. In this case, the server and client cannot communicate, and network operation of the Sizer Electric software will not be possible. We recommend consulting your IT department to ensure that both the server and the client are on compatible network segments and have the necessary permissions and privileges to establish secure communication. You must ensure that communication between the server and all client computers is successful before proceeding with any further steps, as this depends entirely on your operating system and network configuration. Once communication has been verified, connect the network USB key to the USB port on the physical server, or on the computer acting as the server. Verify that the red LED located on the top of the key is illuminated, indicating that the key has been recognized by the server. Next, install the Sizer Electric software on each client computer. On the client machines, you can download a demo version of the latest release from www.sizerelectric.com. Download the demo, extract the files, and run the executable file sizer.exe. It is important to note that for Sizer Electric, the demo, professional, and network versions use the same software. The difference occurs at startup. If the program does not detect a physical or network key, it launches in demo mode and requests a demo activation key with a defined expiration period. If it detects a network key or a USB key, the program launches in professional mode. Upon completing the installation, it will be necessary to configure the server address on the client computer so that they are directed to read the key on the server, instead of searching for it in their own USB port. To do this, open a web browser on the client machine and enter http://localhost:1947. This will open the Sentinel Admin Control Center. From the menu on the left side, select Configuration, and then choose the Access to Remote License Managers tab located at the top of the screen. Verify that the options, Allow Access to Remote Licenses, and Broadcast for Remote Licenses, are enabled. Next, enter the server's IP address in the Remote License Search Parameters text box to indicate where the system should read the access permissions. This is especially useful when using a VPN. Press the Submit button to save the server address. Note that when clicking the Submit button, you may only see a brief flicker indicating that the entry has been accepted. To confirm this, click another tab or menu and then return to the Access to Remote License Managers tab to verify that the IP address remains listed. This server address configuration through the Remote License Search Parameters field must be configured on all client machines that require access to the Sizer Electric program. With these settings, the client machines will be able to open the program by querying the license from the server. If you cannot open the Sentinel Admin Control Center from the browser, this usually indicates that the Sentinel drivers are not installed correctly or that the port is blocked. Reinstall the drivers from the folder. C:\program files, x86, /Sizer 6.01 /drivers /. By running the file reinstall drivers.bat. Consult with your IT department to reinstall the driver with administrator privileges on the server if necessary. If, even after completing the previous steps, the program starts in demo mode and requests an activation key, it may be due to a system firewall restriction or network policy, which should be verified with your company's IT department. To verify whether the client can reach the server key, open an internet browser from the client and enter the following. Server IP address 2.1947. For example, 192.168.100.207:1947. If the client can access the server's USB key, the Sentinel Admin Control Center will open. If this instruction does not open the Sentinel Admin Control Center, it is almost certainly due to system policies or firewall restrictions, since the client cannot read the key on the server. In this case, create a new firewall rule as described in the following section of this video. Creating a new firewall rule. To create a new rule that allows the client to access port 1947 on the server, appropriate privileges are required, and the procedure should follow the policies established by your company's IT department. Below are some general recommendations for creating the firewall rule. From the Windows taskbar, type Firewall, or from the control panel select System and Security option and then, Windows Defender Firewall. Select Advanced Settings from the side menu. Select Outbound Rules in the window displayed. In the Actions panel, select New Rule. Under Rule Type, select Custom, then click Next. Select All Programs, or if you want to restrict the rule only to the Sizer Electric program, enter the path. C:\program files, x86, /Sizer 6.01 /SCRApp601.exe. Important: this last option is not recommended, because it must be reconfigured each time the program version is updated, since the executable file name includes the version number. Click Next. In protocol and ports, you may leave the default settings, or specify TCP protocol, specific ports, and port 1947. Click Next. In the scope configuration, select any IP address, or if only specific computers should be allowed to run the program, click Add and enter the IP addresses of the client computers that will use the software. Alternatively, if access should be allowed to all addresses within the network segment, specify it using the syntax. Segment IP/24, click Next. Select Allow the connection as the action to take when the specified conditions are met. Click Next. Apply the rule to the domain, private, and public profiles, unless your IT department policies specify otherwise. Click Next. Finally, assign a name to the rule and, if desired, add a description documenting its purpose. Click Finish to complete and enable the rule. The firewall rule allowing access to port 1947 on the server will now be listed and enabled. Start the Sizer Electric program on the client computer and verify that it operates correctly. If any issues arise with the client-server connection, review your network policies or contact Sizer Electric technical support for assistance in diagnosing the problem. User and hardware key monitoring. From the server, you can monitor your hardware key certificates and manage or revoke access for users of the software. The monitoring tool displays a list of license administrators available on the network, as well as a list of users with active sessions connected to the hardware key. To access the monitoring tool, open an internet browser on the server where the network key is connected. Google Chrome is recommended. In the address bar, enter localhost 1947. This opens the License Administration Center. From the menu on the left side of the screen, select Sessions to view the list of connected users and the modules currently in use. Click the Disconnect button on the right side of the window to terminate an unwanted service or user session. Granting and denying access. By default, the system grants access on demand to all users. To grant or deny access to specific users, select Configuration, then open the Users tab. Click Show Recent Users to display users who have recently connected to the server. Use the Allow and Deny buttons to grant or revoke access to the software for client computers. When finished, click Close Window. After closing the window, a list showing granted and denied access by user will appear. To add users who have not previously accessed the software, enter them manually, following the syntax shown. Click Submit to confirm the changes. To exit the monitoring tool, simply close the internet browser. These are the basic concepts required to configure systems operating with a network license key for Sizer Electric software. Thank you for your attention. We also recommend watching the video on license key management and administration for a complete understanding of how to use the Sizer Electric software.